Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company, and I am back with my second ever Azimuth unboxing. 2 years ago, Chris Long, the founder of Azimuth, sent me the Mr. Roboto Bronzo Artist series to unbox. And now, Azimuth is back. Chris has sent me the newest release, the Land Cruiser, which is a limited edition of 100 pieces. We're going to get right into it. I should mention Azimuth out of Singapore, designs in Singapore, builds in Neuchâtel, Switzerland, and both of those places have compulsory military service. That's going to become more and more relevant as we get into this box. Okay, as you can see, this box is huge, and it's very nearly too large for my video rig. So mind the clearances here. Let's open up the box as far as we can here. This is almost impossible. But you can see right here that the watch we've got is in a box like no other. So this is a timepiece that is all about presentation and all about vibe. Of course, Azimuth is a very whimsical brand. Created back in 2003, one of the very first of the independents. They were doing this before Grubel Forsey, before MB&F, before Recep Regepi and his brother, even before the Grunefelds. So the watch we've got right here is the latest in a series of timepieces dating back to the origin of the species, not just Azimuth, but the whole independent watch movement. So let's take a look at what we've got. We've got a bubble wrap around an enormous military-style ammo can. So a little bit of explanation. The watch you're going to see in here was heavily inspired by the 2010 Landship SP1, or the SP1 Landship. So the SP1 Landship was inspired by a World War I tank, and it was very true to its inspiration. So because Singapore has compulsory military service, and Switzerland, where this watch is made, also has compulsory military service, military tanks are part of the inspiration for the Land Cruiser. And it's kind of funny because I've been in the military here in the United States. If you're in Singapore or Switzerland, you say you've been in the military, no one bats an eye. You tell people in the US you've been in the military, and it's like you've told them that you've been to space. And that's kind of the reaction you get. And that too will become relevant. So you can see the Azimuth logo. It's a sort of abstraction of a hairspring on a watch. And of course, what we've got right here is a timepiece that is inspired by moon rovers, tanks, and SUVs, all in part. Now, this is a genuine surplus Singaporean military ammo can. Chris was in the military. He said these were controlled when he was in the service, and he never got to touch them. So I guess he's making up for lost time now. You can see that this is the real thing. This is not a simulated ammo can or a reproduction. This is actual surplus that has been repurposed, reconditioned, and repainted with the logo and the olive drab. This is the real thing. If you've ever wanted a little bit of military surplus to enliven your den, you finally got the hardware and then some. So inside, you can see the lovely packaging of the Land Cruiser, which in typical Azimuth style is a remarkably extravagant and exuberant execution of watchmaking. So let's go through the basics. Of course, a military-inspired watch. We have a military-inspired Azimuth branded dog tag. I had these. We also get a second strap. So I suppose this is a little bit more Singaporean because Singapore is a very hot place. It's a lot like Miami. It's a lot like Southern California in the summer, or the Riviera where it can get steamy, and a white strap might be a little bit better of a match in those places than a black strap. But I am in Philadelphia where it's cold, cool, steely, and gray right now, so the black strap works better for me. You do get both when you buy the watch. Taking a look at the watch, we'll get deeper into this in just a moment. I think it's important to take a look at the brochure that comes with the watch because Azimuth has different model lines: automotive, sci-fi, space. All of them have a little bit of lore and legend behind them. And so this comes from the space line, again, based on the SP1 Landship, but in advance beyond that, there's a little bit of lunar rover, or Mars rover, I should say, SUV and tank here. And here's where the moon rover element comes into play. Azimuth Land Cruiser, the military space hovercraft. The Land Cruiser embarks on a highly classified military project to a newly formed planet 500 years away. The planet harbors an elusive and highly unstable element, codenamed XX2, which holds the potential to release an unprecedented amount of cosmic energy and is predicted to alter the pathway of planet Earth. A rugged hovercraft with off-road capabilities, the Land Cruiser is tasked with this urgent mission to trek challenging terrains in uncharted territories, ranging from rocky landscapes to sandy deserts, to ascertain the characteristics of this newly discovered element. And time is running out. Okay, so you have elements like the history of the brand going back to 2003. You have little notices about how to register the watch, how to keep the watch in good service. They recommend service every 3 to 5 years. You can see that the watch features a 36-hour power reserve. It has 3 ATM water resistance. It's a very basic guide, but it does pretty much cover all of the bases. And then on the back, you can see it doubles as a warranty card. So this is a watch that will feature a 2-year warranty once the warranty is activated. And the price is 6,800 Swiss francs, because that is where it's made, which equates to somewhere between 7,500 and maybe 7,700 US dollars. That's where this stands price-wise. It's not cheap, but if you think of it as something along the lines of an alternative to the likes of Urwerk or the former Nordzeit machine, it's actually a good value on that front, being well under $10,000 against those 5-figure comparables. So here we go, the Land Cruiser. Now this is made of steel. It's a 100-piece limited edition. It launched in 2023 for the 2024 model years to get a sense of the time frame here. We have little black inserts and profile. It's designed to be inspired by a tank, though in theory it is a hovercraft. So we have an element on the back that's reminiscent of the afterburner of a jet as it hovers and scoots across the terrain, presumably. The watch is large, and there's no getting around that, though it doesn't wear quite as large as the dimensions would imply. So let's talk about the dimensions. So I measure it 45 millimeters across at its widest point. At its thickest point, which is roughly here, I measure it at 18.3 millimeters. And then if we go from end to end, including the crown, it's a large 56.5, but don't be intimidated by that because it's big. It just doesn't wear that large. If you think of this as a 56 millimeter watch, you'll probably scare yourself away. It wears prominent. There's no getting around that, but ergonomically it's excellent. There is a curvature to the case, which helps to hug the wrist, and the strap is very flexible. There's absolutely no resistance there, no stiffness. You can see on one side it does actually feature a hinged lug, and that does a lot of the heavy lifting on the ergonomic front, keeping this thing well suited to my wrist. So you can wear this on a 16 centimeter wrist, no problem. I'm doing it right now. It wouldn't be an issue. The watch does come with the 2 straps. One is white. This one is black. You can see on the bottom, it is slightly evacuated, Azimuth branded. It's very, very flexible. It's very soft. It's not silicone, it's rubber, but it has a very pliant character to it. You can see even the strap minders here have been thoughtfully designed to echo the tread-like pattern of the strap. And then we have the Azimuth logo and a double deployant clasp with trigger release. You can see there's a little bit of engine turning and polish here. This is a fairly off-the-shelf component, but you can see it has been Azimuth branded, and the all-important buckle cap has been rendered in the Azimuth logo, so it does feel tailored. Now let's do a quick loom shot here, because I know you're going to wonder about this. Let me charge it up, bring it back. And you can see that there's a little bit of luminescence, just a little, just a bit. And if you're wondering specifically what is loomed is the retrograde minute. Now this is all Azimuth watchmaking on the top. We have a scrolling hour display and a retrograding minute. So that is where Azimuth has made its mechanical engineering and watchmaking contribution. You can see there's a red index on the little bezel surrounding the dome, and that tells you which hour is the current hour. So now I'm going to pull the crown out, and you can see how I've got a retrograding minute display on the front. So being that the minutes and the hours are separate, this is also a regulator in addition to being a retrograde. Taking a quick look, you can see that the dial works in intuitive fashion. It turns in a clockwise direction. So right now we're heading towards 10 o'clock and boom, now we're there. You have little intake stylized forms flanking what is presumably the bridge or maybe the scanner of the Land Cruiser. If we think of it as a robot, a robotic rover, maybe this is its scanner, Knight Rider style. And then you can see a variety of different forms. We've got curves, we've got creases, we've got assembly hardware. You can see that we've got polish, we've got satin, and it's nicely detailed. There's a lot of thought that goes into this. You can see in particular the taper of the profile above the retrograde. You can see how that tapers down to razor slim, and then it actually flares again as you roll around to the opposite side. It's definitely a thoughtfully considered shape, and a lot of work went into this. Almost everything here is bespoke to the model. Almost nothing is off the shelf. In fact, the only part that really is going to be the base caliber itself. So given how much of this required unique tooling to build, the price in the $7,000 range seems pretty reasonable. And again, this is a 100-piece limited edition. You can see this is number 96. On the back, we have an Elaboré grade SW200. It is Solida's version of the ageless ETA 2824. Now, it's a bidirectional winder. You can see the two reversing wheels, the winding system. It's got a 36 to 40-hour power reserve, and then it's a 4 hertz beat rate. You can see that it's got a balance beaten away at 4 hertz. It's got an eccentric screw micrometric regulator, Inca block shock protection, 316 steel, 30 meters water resistant. Now, although it does not have a seconds display, you will note that the underlying hacking mechanism of the SW200 is still present. They went with a perlage pattern or an engine turning, and then you have an azimuth-specific rotor on top of that. All told, a really cool watch, something that's definitely different. If you're comparing it to the likes of Erwerk, Nordzeitmaschine, MB&F, you're going to be talking maybe somewhere between maybe 1/3, 1/5, maybe even 1/10 of the price of what watches from those brands can cost, depending on where you're shopping in their product catalogs. So this is a really neat thing, and Chris is a very accessible guy, so if you want to know your watch designer, this is a great way to get into a brand where the creators behind the brand are both genuine enthusiasts and very easy to reach out to. So that's what's going on here. Quick note, just take a look at that alternative strap. You can see it is lovely white rubber, and it works with this buckle in this case. So that is the Azimuth Land Cruiser, new for 2023, a 100-piece series in stainless steel. Let me know in the description what you think. If you want to reach out to Azimuth, check out their website or their Instagram to continue the discussion.